Hi, back again. Now, this is just a little brief one about how to do decimal calculations, which are a very good way of making sure that you're comparing apples with apples rather than just raw numbers. You need to get out of the raw numbers game. Then what you do is you find the percentage. Percentage is used a lot in order to make sense of it. Very simple to make a formula in it. This, as you see it now, will be sent down to, I'll put it up on the side as well under this lecture. So here's the principle. The principle is, and I'm doing this rather than doing it mathematically, which I think a lot of people fall apart on. I know I have done in the past, much better than I was, but not that much better. But essentially you take the smallest number and divide it by the biggest number, then multiply the result by 100. So what's that look like? So if we say if the total number of deaths was 100 and 45 of those were due to heart problems, the spreadsheet formula would be like this. So we click in the spreadsheet square where we want to actually have the formula there. We type in equals, and we type in equals in order to get that to get the formula thing to come up. And so we look at it and we say, now what would, so look at it carefully, and you say the smallest number divided is just a forward slash divided by the total number, which is usually the large, well, has to be the largest number, because we're asking what percentage is 45 of the total deaths, so death rates. But then that would give us one figure, but to make it a percentage, it's got to now be brought back up again by adding two decimal places, which simply means times it by 100. Okay, so times is an asterisk, usually found over the 8, so you do shift 8, which is the asterisk on most keyboards. Now, you can just click return or click the thing, and you've got a number. Now, that number is obvious, okay, because we've got 45 is obviously 45% of 100%, okay. But if, for instance, we changed any of these numbers, so in fact that was 238,124, right? And 45 was actually 7,856, and then we hit the enter key on it. It'll keep giving you the percentage, which is, you know, in that case 3.2, 3.29, or, you know, 3.3 rounded up. You can make in all of these, you can make a you can make them just be two percentage points, you know, so only showing two decimals. Can't see it on mine. This is using a different program. It's not an Excel program. Anyway, I'll leave that there for you so you can have a look at it and see what it does. But that kind of makes sense, doesn't it, as to how it is you calculate a percentage. So given that that's the case, let me just go back to the spreadsheet. This is how we've done it in the spreadsheet right the way through. So there's the formula up there, which I'm hoping this will boost up to. Hopefully you can see that. There's a formula up there which basically shows that it's taking the smallest number, which is this one, and the largest number, which is this one, and dividing the smallest number by the largest number, which gives you that times by 100. Okay, so if you even go to your formula, you can click on it, it'll show you which one it's looking at. So smallest number, yes, it's the smallest, that one's the largest, and then you can see it's times by 100 at the end there. We'll accept that. And that gives you the opportunity to look at something quite rats, hang on. That's right, accept, yep, okay. Now, so if I then drag these numbers down and say what I want is a graph of these, a chart graph, for instance, it'll produce this chart, which then gives me, I'm going to move it up to the figures so you can see it, a very good figure of the relationships as a percentage of the main total for the EMEs. With this, you have to learn to just to play with your graphics program, with your program. It's got different things. If you're using a Mac one, it's pretty straightforward. I think Excel's pretty good too for doing that. I'm just going to change these round so they go at a 90-degree angle. Hopefully I can get them to line up now by dragging it out. There we are. So now we can see the different kinds of problems just for that particular country. You can see what's really giving people malignant neoplasms is obviously a particularly bad one in that country. And you can sort of almost freestyle it. You can depending on how good your program is with it, but you can look at it. You can just drag a column over and have a look at each country by doing that. You can cut and paste each one of these and put them into a document so you've got them sort of running down the page. That's another good way of doing it as well. You can try and fit more than one on, which is difficult to do without playing around with the cells. And if you're interested in doing that, drop me a line. If you could drop me an email on anything that you want that particularly interests you in the course too, and I'll see if I can fit it in without any worries. Don't be shy in coming forward with that. That's another way of looking at it too, to sort of see them all, although it has this kind of thing. There's some limitations with mine on the graphs, but yeah, I mean it's just a nice, it makes numbers come to life, doesn't it? You can look at them like, in fact, let's just even get rid of this graph and I'll show you how you can do it using other tables. Don't be careful not to include the sum here, which is 100% in your thing. Look for another chart. You can do these, which are really cool. I love these things. These look really good, and you can play around with them 3D charts so that you can sort of make them look more interesting. But really, you want to have something which is rather than just 3D. You can go for better ways of charting. Pie diagrams are quite good, and these give quite a good, clear understanding of what's going on, depending on what it is you're looking at. And I don't know where the hell it got the figures from for that. That's kind of weird. So I don't know about that. Let's get rid of that and get rid of that. Rid of that there. Let's have a look and see. So you can see what I'm doing now. It's just a play. It's a play on what you're doing. Oh, there we are. So that's another way of looking at it. Look at that one. That's interesting. Communicable diseases. You can generally drag out the text box that's there and make it look nice and tidy. Look at that. Look at the size of 55%, which is, it's silly they got the same green there. I don't know whether I can change that. But malignant neoplasms is so high in the modern country, modern countries. So it was yeah, that's right, it was. And you can do things the same, do the same like with China. So if you do that, move it over to China and have a look and see what it looks like in China, and it's nowhere near as big. India, much smaller again. But once again, you see, you're going to be picking up these problems where people die too early. People who die, if your average life expectancy is only 45 or 50 years in a country, which it can be, particularly in Africa, then you can, you're not going to see cancers, a large number of cancers, blood cancers particularly, in people who are young. Leukemia is something, would a lot of people. I had a great grandfather, my wife's grandfather, in fact, died a couple of years back from leukemia, and he was 90. He was actually reached 100, and they diagnosed him 6 years before that. But they said that because he's old, leukemia spreads very, very slowly, and he'll die of old age rather than the leukemia. And they were, dare I say it, dead right.